and I hate to do this right now, but I want to read you some stats about Joel Embiid and Deandre Ayton. Joel Embiid versus Deandre Ayton is averaging 37.5 points per game, 17.5 rebounds per game, 3 steals, and only has 7 fouls on Ayton. Going into this game, Deandre Ayton's only averaging 17 and 10 versus Embiid. Embiid absolutely killed us tonight.
I mean, like,
he killed us.
That's a bad stat for Deandre Ayton, but you got to keep in mind Embiid is one of the best players in the league, so that's just kind of how it is.
Right. Especially this year since he's
DeAndre Ayton was
level.
DeAndre Ayton was kind of a non-factor today.
Yeah.
And I think Sarge was even a better matchup on Embiid. I think Embiid kind of got flustered by the quickness of Sarge. Like, sometimes that could happen. Like, you see PJ Tucker kind of had some good games against Anthony Davis. Yep. But like in a 7-game series, that's not going to work. But in just like a 1-game, one-off, like it could fluster a big man because they're not used to going up against that speed. So I think Dario did a good job. I mean, Embiid still got his buckets, but the Suns, like in doubling Embiid, really contained him pretty well, I think. And he still had like 37 points, but I think their defense was huge in the second half.
And it's funny that you mentioned Dario Saric because this was his first game in 33 days. And I even said it in our little live stream last night. I don't know what we can expect out of Dario Saric when he returns. Well, obviously, he's been putting in the work. He looked healthy out there. He was good offensively, defensively, just kind of making things tough on Joel Embiid as much as he possibly could. I mean, they were obviously teammates, so he probably remembers how to guard him. But Dario Saric, in my opinion, as great as Devin Booker was, he was the player of the game.
I think DeAndre Ayton needs to look at Sarge and adapt that type of energy because if he brings that energy every night, if he's not scoring, at least he has the energy. Like, it just seemed like Ayton was asleep tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I've told you this before, man. It's really alarming when I have to say that DeAndre Ayton is in the game sometimes and he's not. Whenever DeAndre Ayton wants to play, that's the thing. I shouldn't be saying that about a number 1 overall pick. And I thought maybe the first couple minutes he was going to have a good game. I mean, Embiid hit a jump shot early in his face, and then I think Ayton responded with a jump shot of his own. But then after that, he was just a complete non-factor. I think at the end of the first quarter, Ayton only had 5 rebounds and 2 points. If DeAndre Ayton would have played like Dario Saric did tonight, no offense, but this game would have been a blowout. If Ayton would have had one of his big-time games, this game would have been a blowout.
I think he might get in there, honestly.
No, I mean, I hate to admit it, man, but Joel Embiid absolutely just destroyed DeAndre Ayton. And it was funny, too, because Embiid just did a bunch of jump shots. He was just aggressive. Ayton just didn't want to play any defense on him. And
I think Ayton actually played good defense. Like, he forced Embiid to the shots that he wanted Embiid to take. It's just Embiid's mid-range is unbelievable this season.
Yeah.
I think
Ayton has a mid-range game. He's just not as good as Embiid.
I think Embiid should have went to the post more, but it's whatever it is.
That's why I brought that up. I was like, he wasn't real. Like, I mean, he did have some points in the paint, but like I just saw a bunch of mid-range shots. And Ayton, again, he can do the same thing, but he's not as consistent from the mid-range as Embiid is. Embiid just got any shot that he wanted tonight on DeAndre Ayton. But we've talked about it before. Ayton does do a lot of things that don't show up on the box score, kind of like Jay Crowder.
Do Suns fans like complain about Ayton not posting up enough?
Yeah, and sometimes I do too. But
see, I think a lot of people get in that. Even like for Porzingis, like a lot of people are like, "Dude, just post up. You're 7'3". But a lot of people don't understand. Like, posting up is taxing. Like, especially against these NBA players. Like, for DeAndre Ayton to post up against Embiid, like, that would take a lot out of him. And then he has to go back on the defensive end and guard him.
He's terrible at getting back on
like,
defense.
It's just a lot. And,
yeah,
like, I think it's easier just to say, like, for me as a Sixers fan, oh, Embiid, go post up every possession. Like, it's easy to say that, but it takes a lot out of the players, and it's easier said than done.
And that's the thing. I mean, obviously the game has changed and evolved. Ayton is so much more finesse than he is power. He's not going to be doing that against Joel Embiid. He kind of does it on Jokic. I mean, he only really does that when he has like a smaller guy on him or a mismatch. But even then, he just shoots the mid-range. He is good and capable at the mid-range, but I totally agree. And that's the thing. You said it perfectly. If Ayton did do that every game, if Chris Paul got him the ball in the post and he posted up every game, he would be terrible on the defensive end because Deandre Ayton does not like getting back on defense. He does need to get in better shape, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he's in NBA shape. He's an NBA player, but like he's not in that great of shape.
Plus, if you're trying to force feed Deandre Ayton, like I watched them against the Grizzlies. I think it was on TNT. Like It was a couple weeks ago. That
was one of Ayton's best games of the year.
They were really force feeding him though, and like sometimes it kind of felt awkward. It was like, do you really need to keep doing it? But I think the next step for Ayton, in my opinion, if he wants to like reach like Jokic and Embiid status, is like handling the ball. Like, because Embiid, you saw tonight, like the Suns were doing a great job of forcing him out of the post. Yeah. And like, even if that does happen, Embiid still has enough handle where he could get the ball and kind of just get to his spot when he wants to. But and it's the same thing with Jokic. But with Ayton, he never dribbles. And when he does dribble, you're kind of like, oh, God, that's not good. Yeah, so I think that would be the next step for him. I think a lot of people don't really say that. But I never even seen him dribble, to be honest.
No, it's pretty bad when he dribbles the ball. It's a little scary and a little alarming when he dribbles the ball. But he has that potential to dribble the ball, take it to the rim, and just flush it down. But he never does it. He used to do that all the time in college. Doesn't do it really in the NBA.
Can I add something about Ayton? Because I keep thinking about DeAndre Ayton for some reason.
Go for it.
First off, his face pisses me off, but that's that's a different story. But I think he needs to add more weight, bro. Like, I don't know. I think he needs to add more weight. I think his handle needs to improve so he could actually dribble. And that's about it. I want him more weight, better condition. And Embiid struggled with that like for 7 years. So
that's like, Ayton's problem is he's not conditioned.
Even Jokic struggles with that. So I feel like big men have to play their way into like NBA condition. So it's kind of tough for them.
Yeah.
But I think adding strength would help them. And just having that mentality, like you saw Dario Saric tonight. He was going up against Embiid and he wasn't afraid of Embiid. Like
exactly.
Like, and it doesn't like. See, I say that, but people are just born with that mentality. Like Ben Simmons doesn't have that. Ben Simmons doesn't have the D book, I'm gonna take over mentality that I want him to have. You're just born with that. You either have it or you don't. And to say Ayton needs to do that, it's easier said than done, which is a scary thing.
Well, it's weird because DeAndre Ayton actually lost weight and he did get in better shape, but I've always said he's more finesse than he is power and strength. And I do remember Embiid was kind of out of shape his first couple of years in his career. DeAndre Ayton does have to get in better shape because we talked about it earlier. If DeAndre Ayton is posting up and let's say he scores on Embiid, he's going to literally walk up the court like this. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't want to get back on defense. He's slow. I don't want to say he's slow, but he's just not quick enough to get back on defense. And it's funny because this guy realistically is better shape than both you and I put together. But compared to Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic and my boy Nikola Vucevic, it's like this guy, he's not in the condition that he needs. And that's what I've been saying about Zion Williamson. When Zion Williamson gets in like NBA shape, he's going to be scary, man.